The voice note that should not exist. Sarah had just returned home from a long, exhausting shift at the clinic. It was close to midnight, and the house carried that familiar stillness, the kind that settles in old homes like dust, filling corners with memories you never really asked to remember. She tossed her keys onto the wooden counter, kicked off her shoes, and sighed. It had been another difficult day. Another day of pretending she didn't feel that constant heaviness in her chest. Another day of avoiding the boxes labeled, "Childhood Stuff, Do Not Open," sitting untouched in her attic for 23 years. But she didn't want to think about that tonight. She made her way to the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, and leaned against the counter. The silence felt thick, almost deliberate. She reached for her phone to distract herself. Maybe scroll through social media, check emails, anything mundane enough to soften the weight inside her. But before she even unlocked her phone, it vibrated. One new WhatsApp message. From an unknown number. Her eyebrows knit together. Probably spam, she thought. But when she tapped it open, her stomach dropped. Outgoing mail. One voice message. No text. No profile picture. No name. Just a single 6-second audio clip. She hesitated. Something about it felt wrong. Like the air around her tightened. Still, curiosity, or maybe intuition, pushed her thumb toward the play button. A soft crackle. A faint inhale. Then, a child's voice. A boy. Around 10 or 11. His tone trembling, yet urgent. Mom, don't trust the man in the old photograph. Sarah's blood turned cold. The glass slipped from her hand. Didn't shatter, just rolled across the counter with a dull thud. But she didn't even notice. Her world had frozen. She replayed the audio. Once. Twice. 10 times. Her throat tightened with every listen. Because even though she had never had a child, even though she had lived alone her entire adult life, even though this made absolutely no sense, she recognized that voice. Not because it belonged to a boy she knew, but because it was her own voice. Her own voice, when she was a child. Her breath caught. No, that's impossible. She stumbled backward, almost tripping over the rug, forcing herself against the kitchen wall. Her heart hammered like it wanted to break out of her ribcage. She knew that voice. She remembered it from old home videos her mother used to record. Videos she couldn't bear to watch after her parents died. Videos from years she didn't like thinking about. Years she barely remembered. Her childhood memory had always been a blur. Everyone said she was just forgetful, a kid with a sensitive nature who blocked things out. Sarah had never questioned it. But now, her childhood self had just sent her a warning. Mom. The words struck like a blade in her chest. She wasn't anyone's mother. So why did that voice call her that? She opened the chat again, hoping the name might load, hoping there was some kind of glitch. But instead of a name, a photo appeared. A single image sent along with the audio. A photo labeled img_1997_edited.jpg. She tapped it with trembling fingers. The image loaded slowly, the way pictures do when they carry more weight than pixels should. And there she was, her 7-year-old self, standing in front of her grandparents' old farmhouse, wearing that yellow checkered dress she remembered too well. But in the picture, one she knew had existed her whole life, there was something that had never been there before. A man, standing right behind her, half-shadowed, tall, expression unreadable. A face she had absolutely never seen in that photograph. Yet he looked like he belonged there, like the photo had always been this way. But Sarah knew the truth. She had looked at this picture thousands of times growing up. It had hung on her childhood bedroom wall. There had never been anyone standing behind her. Never. Her breath grew shallow. Her hands trembled as she zoomed in on the man's face. No features. Just the silhouette of a man whose presence felt wrong on a fundamental level. Like he didn't belong in any world where humans lived. And then she noticed something else. In the bottom right corner of the image. Barely visible. Almost like a child tried to write it with shaky hands. A sentence. He's watching again. Her knees gave out. She dropped to the kitchen floor, gasping for air, grabbing the tiles with both hands as if the ground might tilt without warning. What is this? She whispered. Why now? Why me? She stared at the photo until her eyes burned. And then out of nowhere, her phone pinged. A new message, from the same number. But this time, there was text. Just 2 words. Don't remember. Sarah felt a pulse of nausea. Her child voice, warning her not to remember something from her past. Something she had apparently forgotten for a reason. Something she wasn't supposed to recall. She forced herself to stand and walk to the living room. Every step heavy. The shadows in the room seemed longer tonight, stretching unnaturally. She grabbed the remote and turned on the TV for background noise. The TV flickered, black screen, static. Then, a little girl's laughter. Her laughter. The TV displayed a timestamp in the corner. August 12, 2000, 3:14 p.m. Her heart nearly stopped. That was the day she went missing for 3 hours. The day her parents never talked about. The day she remembered nothing from. On the screen, a grainy video played, a child running in a backyard. Her, 7 years old, smiling, but the camera wasn't held by her father. Or her mother. Someone else was filming. Someone breathing heavily. Someone whispering her name under their breath. Sarah, look here. The same shadowed man from the photograph appeared in the video frame's far corner. Watching her. Before Sarah could react, the TV abruptly shut off. Silence slammed into the room like a fist. No, Sarah whispered. No, this isn't real. This can't be real. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. This time a picture. Not of her childhood. No, a picture taken tonight. Taken at 12:02 a.m. Taken inside her house. The photo showed her kitchen, with Sarah standing in it. Not now. Not a moment ago. But from a distance. As if someone was watching her from the hallway. As if someone had been inside the house with her the entire time. Her blood ran cold. She checked the timestamp again and again. 12:02 a.m. She had been in the kitchen at that exact time, listening to the voice note. Someone had taken that photo. She looked at the doorway behind her. Dark, still, silent. But the kind of silence that feels like breath being held. This isn't happening, she whispered. And then, her phone buzzed one more time. Another voice note. She didn't want to press play. Every part of her body screamed, don't do it. But her thumb moved anyway. The same child's voice spoke. But now, it was trembling, panicked. Rushed. He found me. Please, don't let him find you too. The audio ended abruptly. A faint static lingered, and under it, Sarah heard something else. A man's voice, low, echoing, almost amused, whispering. Finally, she remembers. The audio cut. The house fell silent. Sarah stood frozen, staring into the darkness of the hallway. Something shifted, something subtle. A creak. A footstep. Not hers, slow, deliberate, coming from the direction of the attic where her childhood boxes were, where everything she had forgotten waited. And for the first time in her life, she felt like her past was walking toward her. The attic door that opened itself. Sarah stared down the dark hallway, her breath thin and uneven. The creak she heard wasn't just any sound. It was the exact sound her childhood home used to make whenever someone stepped into the attic. But she lived alone. No one else had a key. No one should be here. Her legs felt numb as she forced herself to move toward the hallway. Every step felt like walking deeper into someone else's memory. One she didn't want, one she wasn't prepared for. The house was too quiet. The kind of quiet where even your heartbeat sounds loud enough to alert something hiding in the dark. She reached the narrow staircase that led to the attic. The wooden steps groaned softly beneath her feet, as if warning her to turn back. But the last message still echoed in her head. He found me. Please, don't let him find you too. A warning from her own childhood voice. She had no choice now. She climbed. 1 step. 2. 3. Her hand trembled as she reached for the attic door handle, but she didn't need to, because the attic door was already open. Just an inch. Enough to show a sliver of darkness inside. Enough to make her heart slam against her ribs. She pushed the door with the back of her hand. It creaked open slowly. Painfully slow. Like the house itself was reluctant to show her what was inside. The attic was dark, except for a pale moonbeam falling through the small window. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts, drifting lazily. She stepped inside. The moment her foot touched the attic floor, the air shifted. Heavy, charged. Like walking into a memory that didn't want to stay buried. Her eyes scanned the room. Old boxes, old furniture, her mother's sewing machine, her father's broken radio, and then, her childhood box. The one she had never opened since the funeral. Since the last day she saw her parents alive. It sat in the center of the attic, even though she remembered leaving it stacked against the wall years ago. I didn't put you here, she whispered. Her voice sounded too loud up here. Sarah kneeled beside the box. Her hands hovered over it, shaking. She lifted the lid. Inside lay dozens of photographs. Some she remembered, some she didn't. But, topmost, the one sitting right at the center, was the same childhood photo she had received on WhatsApp. Except now. The shadowed man was closer. Last night he had stood behind her, near the garden fence. Now, he stood directly beside her child self, his hand hovering over her shoulder. Almost touching, almost claiming. Sarah dropped the photo with a gasp. No, 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 no. What is happening? Her pulse pounded in her throat. She picked up the next photo. Another picture of her at age 7, playing with chalk on the sidewalk. But again, the man, closer than he should be, watching her. Every photo she sifted through was wrong. Every memory she had known was different now. Shifted, edited, corrupted. As if someone was rewriting her childhood. She heard a soft tap behind her. She froze. Another tap, like a shoe, gently hitting the wooden floor. She turned. There was no one, but the darkness near the attic entrance felt thicker now, like it was shape-shifting, becoming something. Her phone buzzed. She nearly dropped it. A new voice message. Her heart hammered as she pressed play. It was her childhood voice again, weaker this time, strained. He's almost inside now. He keeps changing the pictures. He keeps changing you. Sarah's stomach twisted painfully. Changing her? What do you mean, changing me? She whispered at the phone. A second message arrived immediately, like the child version of herself was hearing her in real time. You forgot, because he made you forget. Don't let him do it again. She felt dizzy. Her forgotten childhood. The missing 3 hours. The photographs changing. The voice that sounded like her. Everything pointed to one horrifying possibility. Her childhood wasn't lost. It was taken. Something else was at play. Something she couldn't understand. Sarah looked back at the attic floor. The photographs now scattered around her like pieces of a puzzle no one should complete. This can't be real, she whispered, but her phone buzzed again. This time, a picture. A freshly taken one. She tapped it, her throat closing. It was the attic. Right now, taken from behind her. Her breath hitched. She zoomed in. Her own silhouette was visible, kneeling in front of the box. And behind her, a tall shadow, standing in the doorway, watching her. No, she breathed. She turned slowly, very slowly. The doorway was empty. But the air was colder. Too cold. A whisper threaded through the darkness. Not her childhood voice. Not her own. A man's whisper. Close. Too close. Do you remember me now, Sarah? She stumbled backward, knocking over a box. Her fingers shook as she clutched the phone. She forced herself to speak, her voice barely holding together. Who are you? What do you want from me? Silence. Then a soft laugh. A low, chilling exhale that sent a tremor down her spine. I've always been here. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. Her lungs felt too tight to breathe. The man's voice continued. You were supposed to forget, but you're remembering too fast this time. This time. Those 2 words hit her like an electric shock. What do you mean this time? She whispered. Silence again, as if he said too much. As if he regretted it. Then, her phone vibrated violently. A video call request, from the unknown number. Her knees went weak. She rejected the call. The phone buzzed again. She rejected it. Again, rejected. On the 6th attempt, the call connected automatically. Her screen lit up. Blackness, nothing visible. Just darkness. But she heard breathing, a grown man's breathing. Slow, controlled. And then, a voice behind the camera whispered. Look at the photograph again. The call ended abruptly. Sarah's fingers trembled as she reached for the photo she had dropped first. The one with the shadowed man touching her childhood shoulder. But now, it had changed again. She lifted it with shaking hands, her vision blurring with fear. The photo now showed her 7-year-old self, crying. And the shadowed man, kneeling beside her, holding her hand. His face was still blurred. But now his head was tilted toward her, as if comforting her. But the most horrifying detail, her younger self was looking directly at the camera. And her mouth was open, like she was screaming for help. Sarah's breath seized. She flipped the photo over. There was writing on the back now. Shaky. Childlike. Desperate. You left me here. Her entire body went numb. What does that mean? She choked out. But she knew, deep down, in the part of her memory that had begun cracking open tonight, she knew the truth was waiting. Something terrible had happened when she was 7. Something she had been forced to forget. But the past wasn't staying buried any longer. A sudden boom shook the attic, like someone slammed a fist onto the wall just inches away. Sarah screamed, scrambling backward. Her phone buzzed again. A final message for tonight. A single sentence. If you open the bedroom door, he'll finish what he started. Sarah's heart stopped. Bedroom door. Her bedroom. Downstairs. She slowly backed toward the attic stairs. Terrified, shaking, barely able to breathe. Halfway down, she froze. Because the bedroom door, the one she had left open hours ago, was now shut. Tightly, as if someone was behind it, waiting. The shadow that waited in the bedroom. Sarah stood halfway down the stairs, breathing in short, panicked bursts. The house wasn't silent anymore. It watched. She could feel it. The air in every hallway, every corner, every dark patch of shadow felt alive, pulsing, as if waiting for her to make one wrong move. The attic whispers still clung to her mind. If you open the bedroom door, he'll finish what he started. Her bedroom door was shut tight now. She hadn't shut it. No one else lived here. Her throat tightened. Okay, she whispered to herself. Her voice sounded like a frightened child's. Think, Sarah. Think. She forced her trembling legs down the last steps. The hallway light flickered, once, twice, and then steadied as she stepped into the corridor. And then she heard it. A footstep, soft, slow, measured, and coming from behind the closed bedroom door. Her heart hammered painfully as she moved backward until her spine hit the wall. No, 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 she whispered. Her childhood voice had warned her. The photographs had changed. Her memories were cracking open. The shadow man. The message. You left me here. Everything pointed to the one room in the house she had refused to remember. The bedroom. Her hand covered her mouth as the doorknob shifted. Not fully. Just a tiny metallic twitch, like someone on the other side was testing whether she was standing close, whether she was listening. Sarah stumbled backward. A cold draft crept under the door, brushing over her bare feet. But it wasn't cold like air from an old house. It was cold like breath. Footsteps inside the room moved again, this time faster, crossing from one side of the bedroom to the other. Her stomach dropped. Something was pacing, waiting, learning the rhythm of her fear. The house lights flickered again. And then, her phone buzzed. A new message, no number. Just, unknown. Her entire body rattled as she tapped it open. A voice message. She pressed play with a shaking thumb. Her childhood voice, barely a whisper. Barely alive. Don't let him open it. Please, don't let him out again. Again. That word twisted Sarah's blood cold. Her knees weakened as she whispered to herself. Again? What did I do? What happened in this room? But the voice message wasn't over. There was more. The little girl, her younger self, crying softly, breathing fast, like she was hiding. Then, he came from the wall. Silence. Then a faint dragging sound. A soft cry. And then the last cracked whisper. And I didn't move fast enough. Sarah clutched the phone so tight it hurt. Her back pressed harder against the hallway wall. No, this isn't real. I'm hallucinating. The bedroom doorknob twisted sharply. Sarah screamed. She ran to the opposite end of the hallway. The knob shook violently now, rattling with unnatural force, like a grown man was twisting it, trying to wrench it open. But the whispers were worse. A faint voice from inside the room. Deep. Male. Too close. Sarah, come open the door. Her breath caught. She shook her head violently, backing away. No. Stay away from me. The voice answered with a low, distorted hum. A sound that vibrated the floorboards underneath her. Then, you forgot me once. You won't forget again. Her vision blurred with tears. The door began to thud. Heavy, relentless hits from the inside that made the whole wooden frame tremble. Something wasn't just trying to get out. It was furious. Boom. 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 Every hit grew harder. Sarah covered her ears, sliding down to the hallway floor. Stop. Please stop. Then suddenly, everything went silent. The door stopped. Not a single sound. The house froze. Then, something slid out from under the bedroom door. A photograph. Fresh. New. She stared at it from across the floor, afraid to touch it. But she crawled forward anyway, drawn to it the way one is drawn to a nightmare you've already seen in sleep. She picked it up. Her hand trembled uncontrollably. The photograph showed her childhood bedroom years ago. A small bed, pink curtains, stuffed toys, and crouched beside the closet door. A girl, her, 7 years old, terrified, holding her knees, crying silently. And in the shadow behind her, a dark figure, tall and shapeless, emerging from the wall, reaching toward her. Sarah's heart felt like it stopped beating. On the bottom of the photo, in faint pencil, written in a hurried hand, "You didn't help me." She dropped the picture with a choked sob. This wasn't haunting. This wasn't just fear. It was guilt, a kind she didn't understand yet. Her phone buzzed again. A video file. She hesitated, but opened it. The footage was grainy, but unmistakable. Her house hallway, recorded seconds ago. From the ceiling angle, like from a smoke detector, she saw herself kneeling where she was now, and behind her, slowly stepping into view from the dark hallway corner. A tall shadow, long arms, head bent, moving silently toward her. No, no, no. She turned around instantly. Nothing. Empty hallway, but the temperature plunged instantly, her breath turning white in the air. Cold. Too cold. A presence moved behind her, not visible, but felt like breath on the back of her neck. A whisper crawled over her ear. "You left the door open last time." She screamed and stumbled forward, running straight into the living room. She slammed the door shut behind her. Her chest burned, lungs begging for air. She locked the door, then placed a chair under the knob, then stepped back until she hit the wall. The house quieted again. Only her shaking breath remained. Minutes passed. Then, her phone lit up. A new message. From her old childhood number. A number disconnected for 20 years. Her shaking thumb tapped the message. A photo. She opened it. Her throat closed. It was her bedroom right now. Door cracked open. A long shadow standing behind it. And on the bed, a message written in what looked like chalk. Come remember me. Tears streamed down her face. Stop. Please stop. I don't want to remember. But another message buzzed instantly. A single sentence. You have no choice. I'm still in the room. She clapped her hand over her mouth. Her mind spiraled. What was in that room? What happened when she was 7? Her memories. Her missing hours. The warnings. The photographs. The shadow. Everything came from that room. Everything started there. The doorknob upstairs turned again. Slow. Quiet. Deciding. Then, it clicked open. Sarah's breath turned to ice. A soft footstep echoed down the hallway. One step, then another. Something was walking toward her. The lights flickered violently. Her phone buzzed. A final message. He found me when you ran. Don't run again. Her knees gave out. I didn't run, she whispered desperately. I don't remember running. But the shadow approaching, the echoing footsteps, the deep whisper floating down the hallway, told her the truth she had avoided for 2 decades. She had run. She had left her childhood self behind. And the thing she abandoned never stopped waiting for her to return. The night the truth finally woke up, the night felt heavier than any before it, thicker, like the darkness itself was aware of me. After everything I had learned, everything the house had whispered, everything the past had tried to reveal, I knew tonight wasn't just another night. It was the night everything converged. 1. The house breathes differently tonight. By 11:58 p.m., the entire house had changed temperature, neither cold nor warm, but something unnatural in between. The walls weren't creaking, they were responding. Every few seconds, a soft vibration rippled through the hallway, as if someone was lightly dragging their fingers across the wallpaper. My hands were trembling. My heartbeat felt loud enough to echo down the staircase. Then it happened. The radio turned on by itself. Not static, not music. A familiar voice whispered, "Don't open the bedroom door, Sarah." My breath broke. It was Mark's voice, but older, sad, and exhausted. Not like the night he died. Not like the voicemail he left me. This voice felt like it came from a version of him I never knew. A version far beyond death. 2. The bedroom door starts moving. At 12:03 a.m., the bedroom door at the top of the stairs slowly pushed inward, like someone on the other side was leaning on it. The gap widened an inch, then stopped. I froze. Every instinct told me, if I looked inside, I wouldn't see something dead. I would see something waiting. The air smelled different. Heavy. Damp. Metallic. Like blood, mixed with rain. A faint outline of footsteps shadow shifted under the door. Not walking. Just turning. Facing me. 3. The final photo changes one last time. My phone vibrated in my pocket. The same photo, the one that kept updating, the one my future self had sent, had changed again. This time, the metadata didn't say a time, or a date, or a location. It said, "This is your last chance. Do not go upstairs." My lips trembled. The photo itself had changed too. In the picture, I stood at the bottom of the staircase, in the exact pajamas I was wearing. The same lights, the same shadows, and the bedroom door behind me was wide open. Inside the room, there was something that looked human only in shape. Bent wrong. Watching me. My heart collapsed inside my chest. This picture was taken from tomorrow. 4. The call from the future. At 12:07 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown caller, but the number wasn't unknown. It was Mark's old number. My fingers shook violently. I picked up the call. I didn't say a word, but a voice spoke immediately. "Sarah, listen carefully." It wasn't Mark. It was me, an older version of me, tired, wounded, and breaking. "Don't go upstairs tonight," future me whispered. "Whatever you think is behind that door isn't Mark. It has learned his voice, his footsteps, his memories. It has been waiting 7 years for you to walk in." My throat closed. "Why are you calling me?" I whispered. Future me exhaled shakily. "Because I went upstairs. I made the mistake. I didn't listen. I thought it was him." Her voice cracked. "And it took me." Silence. Then she said the words that shattered me completely. "I'm not warning you to save myself. I'm warning you because saving you is the only way I can finally rest." 5. The door slowly opens. The bedroom door upstairs creaked again. This time, all the way. A soft, slow, dragging sound crawled across the wooden floorboards. Something tall, something thin, shifted its shape inside the dark. It whispered in Mark's voice. Sarah, please, don't be afraid. But the voice vibrated wrong, like someone pushing sound through a broken throat. I stepped back. Another step. And another. My hands covered my ears. No, I whispered. You're not him. You're not my husband. The shadow inside the room stretched longer, reaching the hallway. 6. The final decision. My future self spoke again through the phone. Leave the house. Now. Don't pack anything. Don't turn back. Run. I didn't question her. I bolted. Down the stairs, past the living room, through the front door. The moment my foot crossed the doorstep, the entire upper floor collapsed. A thunderous crash roared behind me as debris exploded outward. Wood, plaster, and dust flooding the air. The house trembled, as if something huge had slammed into it from the inside. And in the cloud of dust, I heard it, something screaming in a voice that started as Mark's, then changed into mine, then into something I can't describe. 7. The last message. Hours later, sitting in my car with police lights flashing around the ruins of my home, my phone vibrated one last time. A message from my future number. Just one line. I survived, so you could. And then the number disappeared forever.